Right now on Good Morning America, first look, an ugly loss and controversy ends America's World Cup dreams.
Heavy rains collapse this roof at this BJ store. The destruction from severe storms and flooding.
His race is considered crucial for Democrats' hopes of taking back the Senate. But overnight, new pressure on Graham Plattner to drop out because of a new allegation about his past.
A body is found in the search for this missing teenager in Mississippi. But now the lingering questions.
The announcement from Walmart about prices on thousands of items.
A former coach now charged with hazing in connection with a college football player's death.
Later, could it be the next food craze? Girl Scout cookie donuts.
And the rare view of a great white shark feeding off the East Coast.
From ABC News, this is Good Morning America, First Look.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm Sophie Flay.
And I'm Hanna Battah. We begin with America's World Cup dreams shattered. The U.S. men's team suffering an ugly loss.
It comes amid a firestorm over a star player's punishment being suspended, a rare decision that's prompted questions about President Trump's involvement. Here's ABC's Lionel Moise.
It was a night to forget in Seattle. The U.S. eliminated from the World Cup by Belgium. Less than 10 minutes into the game, the Belgians struck first after the U.S. defense failed to clear the ball. About 20 minutes later,
Tillman over the line scores!
Malik Tillman scoring off a free kick for the second time in this tournament, but it would be the only bright spot in a disastrous night. Just 61 seconds later, Belgium retaking the lead.
Trossard to the byline, gets across into Ketteler's rising up, and Belgium retake the lead.
Then, in the second half, the wheels came off. This long pass from Belgium puts the U.S. goalie out of his box, and he mishandles the ball, kicking the ground before giving away the ball, setting up a third Belgian goal.
Tim Ream can't block it.
Minutes later, U.S. star Christian Pulisic is subbed off with an injury. The U.S. would make an aggressive last stand, but it would be the Belgians adding insult to injury, scoring a fourth goal in the final seconds of the game.
Well, don't concede another. Lukaku on the loose ball scores.
The team gathering on the field in one last final huddle, but this time there would be no serenade of John Denver's Take Me Home Country Roads. U.S. fans mourning the loss, but many around the world may see it as karmic retribution after that controversial and highly unusual decision by FIFA to allow U.S. striker Folarin Balogun to play last night, suspending the red card penalty he received last week. President Trump revealing he intervened, calling FIFA's president last week to protest Balogun's red card as unfair.
All I did, I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. And, again, I'm good at this stuff.
FIFA's president has called Trump a friend, but insists the red card reversal decision was made independently, saying FIFA's judicial bodies are independent. Still, the controversy overshadowed last night's match.
It's one of those things. That's the world we live in. We were fully focused on us as a group and as a team, and fully focused on the game, and not really worrying about what was being said or debated in the outside world.
Balogun did not score last night. The U.S. now joins Mexico and Canada on the sidelines. All three host countries are out of the tournament. So is superstar Cristiano Ronaldo after Portugal lost to Spain. Sophie, Hannah?
Lionel, thank you. Let's turn now to severe weather and flooding. The roof of a big box store collapsing. The storms delaying travel across parts of the country.
Intense storms dumping massive amounts of rain, leaving communities across the Northeast underwater. New Jersey hit hard. Officials in Monmouth County investigating this video showing the moment the roof of a BJ's wholesale club collapsed. The downpours causing the roof to cave in, briefly trapping 2 people.
Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And just within 20 feet, extreme tragedy. I maybe wouldn't be standing here right now.
More than half a foot of rain falling in some areas, submerging neighborhoods, turning roads into rivers. Some drivers trying to navigate the high water. Others needed to be rescued from their cars. High winds and saturated soil toppling massive trees, leaving them sprawled across neighboring yards.
So the trunk of the tree is still on their property, but the whole majority of their trees here now.
The damage stretching into Pennsylvania. Branches and leaves blocking this road. Utility poles snapped in half. In upstate New York, a woman needed to be rescued after floodwaters overtook her home. The storm's bringing relief from the historic heat wave that claimed the lives of at least 29 people in New Jersey and 3 in New York City. Meanwhile, in Chicago, for the first time in history, the city's deep tunnel system, which channels stormwater into reservoirs, is nearly full after days of torrential rain. This time lapse shows one of those reservoirs nearing capacity. The storm's delaying or canceling some 10,000 flights yesterday alone.
In the West, dry conditions and the heat are big headlines. We'll check your forecast in just a few moments.
Now to Washington and growing questions about the health of Senator Mitch McConnell. The Kentucky Republican and former majority leader is 84. He's been hospitalized for 3 weeks, and his staff is offering few details about his condition. First responders performed CPR on a person in cardiac arrest at McConnell's Washington address on the day he was hospitalized, but he was not publicly named as that person.
New pressure this morning on Maine Senate candidate Graham Plattner as he faces an allegation of sexual assault. His race is considered crucial for Democrats' hopes of taking back control of the Senate. But now more Democrats are calling for him to drop out. ABC's Karen Hua is following this story. Karen, good morning.
Sophie, good morning. Those Democrats now include Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Elizabeth Warren. The question is whether Plattner can withstand this pressure. This morning, the future of a Senate campaign that could be pivotal to the balance of power in Washington is in doubt.
We are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward.
Maine Democrat Graham Plattner, who's taking on longtime Republican incumbent Susan Collins, now faces a sexual assault allegation from a former girlfriend.
I remember very specifically saying, I'm not into this.
Jenny Rasico says she dated Plattner on and off beginning in 2019. She told the website Politico Plattner showed up at her home in 2021 almost blackout drunk, saying, I had been telling him these words like, no, don't.
He violated multiple layers of consent that night by coming into my home when I asked him not to, and by advancing on me when I told him not to.
Plattner denies her claims.
Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false.
Plattner's scandals have been piling up. Another former girlfriend accused him of abusive behavior, which he denied. But he acknowledges sending sexual messages to multiple women after he was married in 2023 and covering up a tattoo resembling a Nazi image on his chest, saying he didn't know its meaning. Now, many top Democrats are pulling their endorsements, urging him to drop out before a ballot deadline later this month. Plattner remaining defiant.
Throughout it all, you never turned your back on me. And I will not turn my back on you now.
Now, Plattner would need to drop out of the race by this Monday for Democrats to be able to select a replacement nominee. One option could be Maine's current governor, who suspended her own Senate campaign in April. Hannah?
Karen, thank you. Ukraine is expanding its attacks on Russia's oil facilities, striking Russia's largest refinery, which is more than 1,500 miles from Ukraine. Analysts say the attacks are forcing Russia to import oil, which is tightening global supplies and could affect gas prices here in the U.S., keeping prices higher. President Trump is attending a NATO summit in Turkey today, where he's expected to meet with Ukraine's president.
A body has been found in the search for a missing teenager in Mississippi. The Jackson County Sheriff says the body of 18-year-old Nolan Wells was found early yesterday on Horn Island. Wells was reported missing Saturday after traveling to the island with a group of friends. He was last seen around 3 p.m. that day, raising questions about what led up to his disappearance. The investigation is ongoing.
Toyota says it's investing $3 billion to move production of its Tacoma trucks from Mexico to Texas. The investment is expected to create about 2,000 jobs in San Antonio. The move comes days after the Trump administration said it would not extend its trade pact with Canada and Mexico.
Time now for your Tuesday weather.
Good Tuesday morning. Such a wet start to the work week in the Northeast. Starting to trend drier Tuesday, but we continue to see the shower chances in the mid-Atlantic. It's all about the scorching heat in the Southeast. Actual air temp topping out in the 90s in places like Houston and Orlando. But in the Southeast, we could see heat indices easily in the triple digits. Dangerous heat there. In the desert Southwest, actual air temp flirting with 115 today in Phoenix. We are dry and hot across the West Coast. We're in the upper Midwest. Some strong to severe thunderstorms. So we'll be watching those this afternoon. I'm meteorologist Danny Beckstrom, ABC News.
Coming up, a major retailer announces lower prices. Should the White House take credit?
Also ahead, the controversy over artificial intelligence in Hollywood. The so-called AI actor now getting a movie of her own.
And what could be a first-of-its-kind encounter with a great white shark.
Walmart shoppers are in for a nice surprise after the company announced it's lowering prices on thousands of items. The nation's largest retailer and grocer said it's cutting the price of ground beef by 12%, the price of cherries by half, and the price of Coca-Cola and Pepsi products by 1/3. President Trump claimed Walmart reduced its prices at his request, but the company made no mention of that in its announcement.
Now to Hollywood and the controversy over artificial intelligence on the big screen. A so-called AI actor is now getting a movie of her own. This morning, Tilly Norwood, the character created using artificial intelligence, is set to make her film debut.
Hi, I'm Tilly Norwood, the world's first AI actor.
When Norwood was first announced by the production company Particle 6 last year, the backlash from actors was swift.
That is really, really scary. Come on, agencies, don't do that.
Agencies said they would not sign Norwood. The actors union, SAG-AFTRA, said they do not consider her to be an actress. But Particle 6 pressed forward, releasing short comedy sketches.
3 seasons and a podcast.
And a music video.
They say it's not real, that it's fake, but I am still human, make no mistake.
Norwood's creators defending her.
I totally understand where people are coming from and thinking that it's really scary and thinking that it shouldn't happen. I can't wish it away. I can't stop it. The only thing I can do is to get ready and to help other people get ready for it too.
Now the studio that made her is producing a film starring Tilly, titled Misaligned, a coming-of-age story about Tilly trying to become more human.
It's going to be a fun comedy that's going to showcase where the tech's at.
Particle 6 says the film is being designed as a hybrid production with human directors, writers, and editors working alongside AI specialists.
We've quadrupled our workforce. And so I think there's going to be loads of new jobs that are going to be created, but you do need to be AI literate and you need to understand how to use the tools and combine your human creativity and your expertise with the tools.
No word yet on a possible release date for the film.
Coming up, the baby formula recall, another case of botulism reported.
Also ahead, the former coach now charged with hazing in connection with a college football player's death. Back now with a rare video of a great white shark feeding off the East Coast. The 8-foot shark was in the same area where a whale carcass was spotted off Rhode Island. The video from the Atlantic Shark Institute is believed to be the first to show a great white in Rhode Island waters.
We turn now to the former college football coach facing charges in connection with a player's death. Among the charges, hazing.
This morning, a former football coach at Bucknell University has been charged with felony hazing in connection with the death of a player. 18-year-old CJ Dickey collapsed during his first workout with the team in 2024.
I do think our kid was hazed, and I think this was something that was completely avoidable.
In a lawsuit, his family has claimed that strength and conditioning coach Mark Kolbus forced Dickey to do so-called burpees, or up-and-down exercises. The teen was later rushed to the hospital and treated for rhabdomyolysis, or rhabdo, a condition caused by extreme exertion that leads to muscle breakdown. It can cause kidney failure and abnormal heart rhythms.
They were trying to resuscitate him, and they came to us and said, "We've been trying," and we made the decision as parents to stop because CJ wasn't coming back.
CJ had what's known as the sickle cell trait, which put him at a 50% higher risk.
People with sickle cell trait who are engaging in athletic activity, it doesn't mean they will all 100% get rhabdo, but they are at an increased risk.
Experts say rhabdo is easily reversed by stopping exercise. But Pennsylvania's Attorney General claims Kolbus knew of Dickey's condition and disregarded it, calling it an extraordinary tragedy, worsened by the fact that CJ's death was preventable. Adding Dickey was visibly struggling, and the coach did not summon help until Dickey passed out. The coach's attorney responding, saying, while the death of Calvin Dickey is tragic, Mark Kolbus did not contribute to it and is not responsible for it, adding, we intend to vigorously defend the charges.
Kolbus is due in court later this month. In addition to hazing, he's charged with misdemeanor involuntary manslaughter.
New details about a baby formula recall. The FDA now says 4 infants have been sickened with botulism. The formula being recalled is Nara Organics whole milk organic powdered formula. Botulism cases linked to the formula have been reported in California, Washington, and Pennsylvania. Our website has more details. One of the most prestigious hospitals in the country is bracing for a nurses' strike. 4,000 nurses at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston are set to walk off the job tomorrow. They're demanding bigger raises and more affordable health insurance.
Coming up, a guest appearance on General Hospital turns extra dramatic.
Plus, the bear that came knocking at this hotel room.
Time to check the pulse. We begin with an unwelcome hotel guest.
A bear. Video from Chinese state media shows this massive brown bear pushing open the door of this hotel room in Tibet. Chinese media reports the people in the room stared at the bear briefly before just kind of waltzed away and eventually left the hotel.
ABC News has not independently verified the video. Chinese media says no one was hurt. The damage to the door has now been repaired, but this is my worst nightmare.
Right, makes you wonder why it chose that hotel room.
Yeah. Next, new details about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding celebration.
Yeah, so there was apparently plenty to eat, but not enough places to sit. TMZ reports party guests at Madison Square Garden stood in long buffet lines, some even eating on their feet because there weren't enough seats. Multiple buffet-style stations reportedly served everything from pasta to Chinese food to sushi, so nobody went hungry. And when you're having a wedding in New York, there are definitely great food places to choose from.
Yes.
Next, late-night comedian John Oliver wrapping up his 3-episode appearance on General Hospital.
And things turned a little dramatic.
I spent the whole night praying that she was going to be okay. And I can't even get into her room to check on her because your agents won't let me.
An oversight. I'll have your name added to the list of approved visitors.
I don't want to be added to the list. I want my daughter back.
Then let me put this in language that you will understand. That ain't gonna happen.
Whoa! Oliver said he wanted to play a character with a ridiculous name, and he got his wish. Playing the head of an international spy agency who went by the name of Z. His other wish was to be slapped on the show. Ask and you shall receive. He's set for a cameo on Days of Our Lives later this summer. Next, something we never knew America needed.
Yeah, Pringles hot dog buns. The potato-based buns are infused with 3 favorite Pringles flavors: sour cream and onion, barbecue, and honey mustard. They're available only on the Pringles website.
Sounds pretty good. And how about Girl Scout cookie-inspired donuts? Krispy Kreme is rolling them out, and they will come in 3 flavors. So, Thin Mints, Lemon Ups, and coconut caramel. Sounds pretty good.
That sounds great for breakfast. Sign me up.
Top headlines next. Checking more top stories, America's World Cup dreams came to an end last night after a 4-1 loss to Belgium. Players insisted the red card controversy involving player Folarin Balogun was not a distraction. He did not score.
The union representing Pennsylvania state troopers is demanding answers after learning that a truck driver accused of killing trooper Michael Pahira was given a commercial driver's license in Massachusetts despite being in the U.S. illegally. He was arrested after the crash.
The widow and parents of conservative activist Charlie Kirk are expected back in court today, where evidence is being laid out against Kirk's accused killer. The security includes rooftop snipers. The judge was seen flinching while watching video of Kirk's assassination yesterday.
In Colorado, more than 260 homes have now been destroyed by the Aspen Acres fire, making it one of the most destructive wildfires in state history.
Today's weather, temperatures could approach 150 degrees in the southwest, storms in the northern plains, and more rain in parts of the northeast.
And finally, a dog who really loves ice cream.
Here's Danny New.
July is National Ice Cream Month. And we're meeting someone who wastes no time when he hears that ice cream truck jingle.
That's the fastest he will walk, is to get to the ice cream truck.
Over the past few months, 12-year-old Edward here has been picking up a lot of attention online as he shows the world you can still pursue your passions in your golden years.
We can't motivate him some days to take more than 2 or 3 steps, but he will walk the whole way across the lawn to get that ice cream.
Lindsay and her daughter Austin first brought Edward into their Maryland home as a foster about 2.5 years ago. However, his prognosis was not good.
The vet said, you should have 6 to 12 months of quality life.
From cancer to a crooked spine, his list of ailments was seemingly endless. So Austin and her brother Jack made a bucket list pretty darn long too. They brought Edward to the beach, introduced him to Santa, and even dressed up for Halloween together on more than one occasion. Here they are as the cast of E.T. and even the Kansas City Chiefs, with Austin as Taylor Swift and Edward S. Patrick Mahomes.
Like sometimes if I've had a bad day for some reason, I always come home and then he's like always really happy and like he makes me happy.
Well, about 30 months after he was given around 6, Edward has since officially been adopted by their family. A family that has no problem pushing him to his beloved ice cream truck, even if he's not feeling so spry that day.
He still has a will to live, is what I would say. Like, very much so.
A will to lick.
Live and lick. Lick the ice cream and live.
And Lindsay wanted to emphasize, guys, that a lot of the times when you foster an animal, the shelter will pay for all expenses. So you just get a little buddy to love for a while and who knows, maybe end up adopting him.
That's your GMA First Look.
Have a great day.